And welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald, and right over there is Brachelle. And we've got a really cool guest today. Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, David Salerno does so many things. First of all, we can follow along with this conversation at his website, which is davidsalerno.com. He's also got a book called Built on Freedom. And Kevin, I was just telling you, I decided to take a last-minute walk, and the universe sent me a little pin. If you're watching this, you can see it. It says freedom on it. And just a reminder that when you talk to the universe, sometimes it will talk back. And David knows what that's about.
We're going to talk to him right after the opening. There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. And David, it's so nice to see you. And we had a great conversation the last time we talked. But I gotta tell you, there's something wrong with the world today. You're in Florida. It's 62 degrees. I'm in Seattle. It's 52 and raining, and Brachelle's in Salt Lake City, where it's supposed to be cold. And what is it really 80?
Yes, my phone tells me it's 81 and the high is 82, and I'm right in it. So, we can have a little early summer, but send us some rain, either of you, if you get it, please.
Oh, we get a lot of it. As a matter of fact, don't ever anybody move to Seattle because it rains all the time. It's just miserable. You wouldn't like it here, and then that way I don't have to worry about you being on the highway and being in the traffic jam. So,
but David's in Florida. That's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, Florida's amazing. It's 62 degrees right now, like you said, Kevin, and West Coast Florida is just the best.
But there's sharks there. I don't know. Brachelle, as I get older, I'm scared of everything. Have you noticed that?
A little bit. I'm going to help shake you as it comes in. That's okay. I'll be in Florida soon, David. Hopefully I'll get the chance to see you, which would be amazing.
Come on down.
We talk about freedom in the sense that I used to think of freedom almost as a joke because I didn't understand it fully, and I never thought the entirety of it was possible. And then we've gone through today. I find this freedom pin. I didn't get the chance to meet you during our interview process. And today you pop up and you've got a book that's called Built on Freedom. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, Michelle. And Kevin, thank you so much for the invite. I'm honored. It's funny because freedom for me, in the sense of business, was I started a business to have freedom, You don't have a boss. You decide the rules of the game, how you serve your customers, how you take care of your people. And then I realized it was like a trap. I built really a trap. So freedom is being able to find that balance where you have your business, but you're also not stuck in a trap. So it's really freedom to choose how you show yourself in the business.
It's amazing.
And a lot of times it takes an entrepreneurial spirit and also a manager spirit and a leader spirit, all wrapped up into the same person. Were you born that way, or did you have to learn how to do all that stuff?
You know what? I had so much to learn, and starting the business, I was comfortable in doing so many things. I'd been in the corporate world, different departments, learned a lot, school, the whole shebang. But having to do business where you have to do everything when you start, there was a lot of learning going on. I still learn today. It's just amazing.
Well, and Brachelle, I know that you would love to have David's lifestyle because he lives in Florida. His company is based in Toronto. Is that right?
Canada, Montreal, the Montreal area.
Montreal,
so east. You got it.
I knew it was either a baseball team that was in Toronto or Montreal that there used to be one there. So
there's talks that the Expos would be coming back. Expos used to be the baseball team in Montreal, and now there's talks of bringing it back. So who knows? Maybe we will have a baseball team again.
That'd be amazing.
From Texas?
I forget which one. But it's one that left. Maybe that's the one.
Yeah, well, good luck. I hope you get that back because in Seattle, we had an NBA franchise. It was the Seattle Supersonics, and they were here for years and years and years. And then they went to Oklahoma, and I don't know why they wanted to go to Oklahoma, but they went to Oklahoma, and so we have been. And now they're talking about giving us another franchise, and that would be very nice. But yes.
Speaking of franchise, did you know that David was 17 years old when he first became a franchisee? David, do you want to tell us about that? Because I think
Yeah,
that's
sure.
17 years
Sure.
old,
yes.
you were hardly out of diapers.
Well, yeah, but I knew everything, right? Don't we know everything at 17?
That's right.
So I had this idea that so my mom was telling me you should find a job. You should find a job. I spoke to the manager at the local grocery store. Like he can hire you. Typical good job to start as a teenager. And I was 16 when I paid attention to student painters. So basically, it's a national organization that has franchises of student painters, and usually it's for college students. And I see this in my own school. The school was connected to a community college, if you will. So I'm walking and I see these stands, and I go approach them, talk to them, and I'm like, okay, that's it. I want to be a student painter manager or owner. So I did the whole process. Somehow I must have been a good sales guy because I got the position for one of the regions south of Montreal.
That's amazing.
At
Congratulations.
17?
Yeah,
You were regional
sorry,
manager
yeah.
at 17?
So
Boy.
yeah, but it's students. So the
Yeah.
competition was the bar was not as high.
Well, congratulations on that. Have you always had an entrepreneurial spirit? In other words, were you a good employee or like I was, a bad employee?
I think I was both in the sense where I was a great colleague. I think I was a great boss in the corporate world, but I was a pain in the neck for my bosses because obviously I knew everything. Not now I'm more business has tamed me down. I can tell you when you fail a few times in business, you start to be more humble.
I can only imagine.
Well, and your book is full of successes, and first of all, tell us about the company that you are running in Montreal currently.
Sure. So Solpak, the full name is Solpak Packaging Solutions. So we're into food packaging. We basically help our customers that are caterers. It could be Meals on Wheels organizations, school catering, and we help them with their meal packaging. So trays, film, sealing equipment, delivery, transport bags. We help them from the moment they're finished cooking to the moment it lands at their client's doorstep.
That's amazing.
That is amazing because at one time, I got meals delivered that way and they were all frozen. I cannot believe how much money I was paying in packaging to get the meals delivered, which is why they were a little kind of expensive. But at the same time, one time the box got compromised and the food was thawed out and I had to throw it all away. So it is important that if you're especially frozen food or fresh food that needs to be below 40 degrees, that it be sanitary and safe.
Yes.
Very good, Kevin. I feel like you could come and help us up north. It's exactly that. You want to keep it safe. You want to keep it good looking and tasty looking. And then when you retherm the thing, that it's actually has kept its taste and flavors.
So, what's the passion behind you starting this?
So when I was, as you know, 17, I had done the for 1 year the student painter experience, which I loved. Then I ended up going to college, then corpo, and then the corporate world. I had some success, so it was a comfortable position until I was starting to be a little miserable and a pain in the neck, as I said for some. And I knew I was going to start my business, and I saw this opportunity, which actually was a solution out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Um, so I see this pulp paper tray, and I was like, pulp paper tray, and that was 20 years ago, so it wasn't all the rage like it is today. And I was like, that's amazing. Like it literally melts in the ground once you're done with it. So I thought that was genius. And then I thought from a business perspective, I didn't see myself starting a business where I'll see my client every 5 years. Like, they'll buy my TV and then they come back in 5 years. I thought it was a great business model. If it was recurring, I serve them well. And if I do a good job, we'll just keep that client forever. And to some extent, some clients have been with us for 20 years. So that was the passion. And I was passionate to just do that good, nice business that was well-rounded. My people were happy. Clients were happier than somewhere else. It was just to get that excellent vibe that made me passionate about it.
Yeah. Well, I love how you went after feeding people because we have learned, Kevin and I, that in the USA, there is a lot of us that are going to bed hungry, especially being kids. Kevin, I know that he talks about it a lot. And it's because we really don't know what we don't know, right?
Absolutely, it's well said, and it's the same. So we're covering for Canada, and the first our first we like to call ourselves partners to our clients. They're Meals on Wheels. They're school caterers for kids that didn't have breakfast and whatnot. So it's very well said, Michelle. There is a food security issue where kids or people of all ages have difficulty sometimes feeding a healthy meal, because that's the other thing, right? There's food out there, but it's not
Yeah.
always healthy.
And the cheaper it is, the unhealthier it is.
Yeah,
And by the
absolutely.
way, you've got a unique way, and I love your management style because you refer to your team members or your employees, as it were, differently, and also your clients. You refer to them differently than a
Mm,
lot of typical businesses because you're invested in all of them, aren't you?
absolutely. And I think that's what marked me the most in the corporate world. I mean, corporate is are big machines, but they're efficient. They work. They deliver consistently. They have like patterns and whatnot. And I thought there's good in the corporate world, but the concept of being a number, that's something I didn't want any of my people to feel. So we have a very different way of managing. We honor everyone. We talk a lot about collective intelligence, because as an entrepreneur, I don't know everything. And actually, a lot of the team members, they know more in their specific like expertise. So we've always built a business and grew up honoring that.
So what do you call your employees?
Team members.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
they're part of the team, and it's and that's kind of like there's no bigger team member or smaller team member. They're all just team members doing different tasks and different jobs, and they're doing it to the best of their ability because they feel valued, don't they?
No, exactly. And on top of that, I've always been skeptical with the idea of management and then the workforce, right? That separation. And I still remember from my course in college of in business 101, basically. And the teacher at the professor had said, if your business brings in a union, it's because you failed in management. It's not external conditions, you failed. That marked me. So when I talk about team members, I have managers, directors, and when they use the word employee, I would be like, you're an employee, they're an employee. So don't call them employees, right? You can't call them, because then you're positioning yourself like you're not them, but we're all team members. So I truthfully have used that term forever.
So it's not them and us; it's us
We.
Correct. Exactly.
or we.
Exactly.
If you're
Exactly.
French, that would be
Absolutely.
we. Yes, and
Yeah. Or nous.
and by the way, we are talking with David Salerno, and if you want to go to his website, Berchelle, how do they get there to to go look at the book, which is called Built for Freedom, he's really built for freedom, I do have to say.
Yeah, and what a blessing that he's allowed us the knowledge to do that for ourselves. So thank you for that, David. Everybody go to his website, davidsalerno.com. His last name is SALERNO.com. davidsolerno.com. He's got everything about him. The book is available there. We're going to talk about some other things that he's got up on his website when we come back. And go check out the book as well. It's available almost everywhere at Built for Freedom. And we'll be right back. Kevin, also, I think we should play the... Are you going to play what I think you're going to play? Can you hear me?
I think I'm going to play what you think I'm going to play, but you tell me after I play it if that's what you thought I was going to play.
Okay.
I guess. We can run that tape back and see if that makes any sense at all.
Okay.
We'll be right back with more with David Salerno. Here are some points to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. You know, some say leadership is about getting the work done, about pushing forward, no matter the cost. But what's the cost of a team with no purpose? What if a single act of support, a single moment of genuine grit could change everything? What if leadership was a catalyst? Because true leadership isn't about being in control. It's about empowering others to find their purpose. It's about leading with passion and igniting the fire in everyone around you, creating a culture of teamwork and common purpose. A true leader finds this culture by enthusiastic purpose and team development, making each team member feel empowered to create, improve, and execute their tasks with genuine passion and a strong belief in the company's mission and focus. In other words, lead with purpose. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin. Michelle's right there. And David Salerno, he is an entrepreneur. He is a business owner. He's an author. And he's a father. And he's a husband. And he's a commuter. When we're talking about commuting, he doesn't fool around. He commutes from Florida to Montreal in Canada at least once a month because, and I just love how you've built this because you built it for freedom. And that's given you, rather than you married, well, you married your wife and then you married a job. And rather than being married to that job, you now have the freedom. And you've built that because, and I suspect, we just played about leadership, and I suspect that you've built your company based upon some of those principles because it allows you to delegate the abilities and the responsibilities to others and feel comfortable with that. Would that be true?
Absolutely. I love that video, by the way. And we've talked about this in the pre-interview. I've always thought that human have the greatest potential, and then life happens, and then we have struggles. But I wanted the business to be a way for everybody that partook in the business to actually be able to go at their full potential. So they need their own freedom. So the little dirty secret with Built for Freedom is it's not just my freedom, it's actually the team's freedom. We talk about a sandbox where everybody has their sandbox, and we honor that that's kind of their domain. And then when we need to collaborate, we have processes and whatnot, of course. But at the end of the day, it's a bit allotting freedom for more than just the business owner or the boss or whatever you call you. So leading with purpose, that was my purpose. How can I build this business that would be cool to everybody? So definitely based on principles.
Now, having said that, I would love your opinion on this because sometimes, not always, but sometimes when you have your own sandbox and somebody acts like a cat and poops in their own sandbox, then what do you do with those people? Do you educate them, or do you say, I'm sorry, you're going to have to go poop in somebody else's sandbox?
It's a great question because it all sounds like fantasy land until we have a team member that is not really fitting in the team. So we've had absolutely situations where I like to call them misfits. Not the person is a misfit. The fit doesn't work both ways, right? So if you have a high-paced business where everybody's on edge and rolling because that's the nature of business, and you've got somebody who needs the focus and whatnot, and it just doesn't work, it's not that person is not good enough. It's just not the right fit. So we've had cases where after discussions and trying to understand, sometimes we unlocked some belief system and then that person just came along the vibe of the team. And sometimes we realized mutually it didn't work. So then we take care of our team members and then they leave because they say, look, this place is not for me. So it has happened.
But I'm willing to bet it doesn't happen often, Rochelle. What do you think?
Probably not. And I love that it is an option for them that they see as in their best interest. It's not a negative. They're seeing it as moving along, moving forward, growing, not as something where they're going backwards and they're angry. They're motivated. They're inspired. Something sparked, and now they've got a path and they want to follow that. So I think that any way that it turns out to be for them is got to be super powerful for them. And when you talk about your method of freedom, the Sherpa method.
Yes.
Can you talk about that? What does that mean?
Yeah, sure. So when I decided to write the book, because I'd been told by an anecdote, a banker had told me, I'm sitting in your office. It's been like 90 minutes. Nobody came to ask you a question. Nobody's panicking in the office. You didn't get calls. You're fully focused on me. Like, what's going on? And I thought that was normal, right? I'm like, isn't that how business is once you set up the shop? And he was like, no, David, this is like I rarely see this. So long story short, fast forward to, okay, you know what? I'm going to write a book about what I did. And I was trying to look for a metaphor, and Sherpa was the metaphor. I'm not a mountain climber, so I apologize to the real mountain climbers out there, because I get asked sometimes, oh, have you done the Kilimanjaro or and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't mountain climb. And I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have used that metaphor. But that being said, the Sherpa is really a guide. So he's not, my understanding, it's not somebody who's going to do the work for you. It's somebody who's going to guide you, who's going to help you get the right equipment, might walk up the mountain with you, might carry one thing because now it's getting heavy and the oxygen is lowering, but it's basically a guide helping you up the mountain, because they've been there many, many times. And I felt that was my journey that I wanted to share with that metaphor.
Beautiful. I love that.
Because that is so important that, you don't know what you don't know unless you know it. And it's a lot of times it takes a long time to get to know it. And that knowledge is valuable, because other people, if you can shorten the learning curve for somebody else so that they don't have to go through everything that you went through to get to where you are, that's really valuable information.
Absolutely. I once said that if I could save somebody's 5-year journey, you know how they say it takes 4 to 5 years to get to a point of maturity and profitability where, okay, my business is sustainable. If I could save 2 years out of those 5 with that recipe, because it's a recipe book, really, it's really structured as a recipe book. I'm happy. My job is done.
Yeah.
So, did you decide to write this book at 3:00 in the morning when you had a thought to yourself, or how did the book come about?
I don't know if I can reveal that story, Kevin. Rochelle,
Oh.
I don't know. I'm in the shower, and I like my showers hot, and there's steam, and I have these panes of glass, right? And I'm like, so how? Some seminal moment happened, and I was like, I made it. Like, in my mind, I made it. Not necessarily in money, but in structure, in organization. Some client told me something. I was like, I can't believe I got it. And I started drawing in the steam on the shower. And I was like, okay, there's 3 things really you got to figure out. And that's how I started drawing the framework of the Sherpa method. And it was basically 3 challenges I realized. It's only 3 things because you need clarity. Most entrepreneurs, and actually I think it applies in life, you need clarity. When you are overwhelmed, you can't figure out, it's not hustling and working double as hard that's going to fix it. It's to step back, have clarity. Okay, what is it that I need to focus on? And that's basically how the book started. That little framework where I was drawing in my shower.
I'm so curious to know what those 3 things are. But Kevin, doesn't this make so much sense to you because of water itself, being in water and the whole thing around that? Like, it's perfect.
There is something that because we are all energetic beings, and there is an energy that comes through the transmission through water, and we're what are we 80%, 90% water anyway, and so when you're in, sometimes I have my best thoughts when I'm in the shower, and so I don't
make up all my songs. And then I never remember them.
So you're gonna need a recorder in there.
Yes,
that's exactly right. And so when you were done with the shower and the circles went away, did you remember them?
So I remember the three. So because I think there's something special with the number three. Three, that'll be for another episode,
That's
I
my
guess, of the
lucky number, by
podcast.
the way. So I
Right?
agree. Yeah.
Good job, Rochelle. I'm with you on that one. And it was a bit of a Trinity thing. And I was like, it's only three because there's so many things we can think of. I was like, as an entrepreneur, and I would really show up at the office sometimes overwhelmed. Like that's why I don't have as much hair as before. I would just pull them out.
What the
And I
hell
was
is my
like, okay,
excuse?
yeah, that's right. And so I remember the three things, and then later on I sat and then I developed the rest. But yes, those three things I remember.
That's
Can you
awesome.
share those three things, or do we need to
Oh
buy the book?
yes. No, of course I will. So the first thing I realized is that what makes any business a business is that if you have like clients and they're buying from you and it's coming back. So it's so simple. But I remember I would throw myself at every single problem, including a computer problem, a lift that was not working in the warehouse, when my real problem was growth. So my job as an entrepreneur, the first thing was just to focus on growth. I had one maybe or two people in the shop, in the office, that were taking care of orders in the warehouse. And I was trying to do everything. I was like, no, my job was to take care of growth. So I took care of growth. And then the second thing is you get to a point where you have, it's a bit like a lift on a plane, right? The first thing, the plane's got to take off. It takes a lot of fuel. And that most of the fuel in the business when you start is your energy and your time, because there's nobody else or barely anybody else. Once that kind of is happening, the second thing is you want to make sure that plane actually stays up there and doesn't crash back. So it's having a sustainable business, and that's processes and systems and numbers. So I go in a structured way, but basically sustainability is your second focus. If you've got the sales and you have some growth, because eventually the wheel turns and clients refer you and this and that, then you got to handle that. Because if not, you're constantly going to be the person, the hub in the business where more people are going to ask you questions and decisions are to be taken. And now you're really in a trap. And the third one in my thought process was then you go service. Once you have kind of your stability, sustainability, then you have to be of service to your people, hence your team members, make sure they're good, and then your client, and eventually your community. We give back a lot to community in time and money. um, we've gotten some clients that are in the nonprofit that swear by everything we do, and we love it because we have the time, we're well structured. So those three things are growth, sustainability, and to be of service.
It's amazing.
How come so many people get lost in the service part?
I think it's a matter of I mean, to be of service is a very human thing, unless we've got lost. But to be of service is what we do. That's what you guys do, right? Day in, day out.
Yep.
I think at the end of the day, we assume sustainability or the processes or systems is something that kind of happens by itself. But if you focus on that first, it frees you to focus on service. But service is really where it's the ultimate outcome of what we do.
The sustainability is so important, right? Because if what you do in the beginning doesn't happen correctly, sometimes you won't be sustainable, right? So those beginning steps
That's right.
is where it leads to that.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
Is there an evolution that goes along with sustainability that you can adapt if something's not working, that you're not so married to it, that you can adapt and to make changes to make it more flexible, to make it a better service-oriented product for your customer based upon your experience that you're gaining in that time? Does that make sense?
Hey, you know what? It makes sense. So there's a chapter in the section, because there's three sections in the book, right? Of these three challenges, and there's a section where we talk about continued improvement. First, to be listening into your team members, because they see and they hear everything in the business that we could do better. So absolutely, it's part of the continuous improvement process in a business, quite friendly in anyone's life.
So an entrepreneur that doesn't listen to his team members is probably not going to be in business all that long.
Or he'll be miserable, or his or her people will be miserable, or no, yeah. It's really a good recipe.
Their team members' dogs are going to be miserable because they get kicked every time he comes home.
Oh, no.
Maybe
So
virtual
bad.
dog, maybe.
Do you think in the beginning process of what gets them to that sustainability, there's one major thing you see where people generally get stuck and you see why? Like
Yeah.
inside, I'm
So
talking like their own value system in a way.
yeah, that's great. I think it's the fact that, especially if you're starting a business, you're passionate, you're willing to throw yourself in danger, in danger, basically. You're willing to go out there. So you have a high sense of honor of doing the right things. And what happens is you can get caught up that what is doing the right thing when you're an entrepreneur, and you got to make sure you have sales, you have people to take care of, you have clients to take care of, you have uh, 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 things that will break down, and now your sense of honor is called upon for all these things. So it's extreme.
Mm,
It's the paradox of being an entrepreneur. And usually entrepreneurs are pretty flexible and talented in different areas. That's why they start, because they think they
of
can
course.
do it all and know it all. So yeah, so I think it's that paradox where you have to realize, no, your sense of honor is not to be everywhere. If not, that means you're a lesser person. And
Mm,
the best anecdote is when I would get call from clients. Clients I delivered in a car. I didn't even have a van when I started Solpak, and they would call me for orders. And at some point, when I made that switch and wanted to write the book, uh, I was I was realizing I can't be the guy taking the orders all the time. So I would have these conversations with my clients and tell them, look, we're getting bigger, and if you leave me a message for your order, you might wait 2 days because I'm swamped, but Sylvie will take care of you. And it's to admit that you can't do it all if you want to get to the sustainable level.
beautiful.
And we're talking with
David Salerno. Go to his website, which is davidsalerno.com. Also, he has entrepreneurshipsherpa.co. You can visit there and it will show you everything about Built for Freedom with the Sherpa method that we just talked about. And Kevin's got an amazing question for when we come back, don't you?
I do, because I want to ask David about. I mentioned this the other day on a show, and I don't think I communicated it properly. So I'll try and do better this time. But sometimes entrepreneurs have what I call situational integrity.
Mm.
It means it depends on the situation as to whether or not you're going to be integrous or not. Because if it's expensive, you might not want to do. Anyway, I want your opinion when we come back is into how important is integrity in working with your clients, working with your team members, and working with the public. How important is that to you? And we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Bershal and David Salerno. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio Network. We're on a mission to entertain, enlighten, empower, and educate through inspiring music, dynamic conversations, and yes, laughter. Join me, Kevin McDonald, and Bershal as we declare our freedom from hate, division, and fear and celebrate a better way of living. Go to positivetalkradio.net to find out more. Here's another point to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. What is the easiest thing to justify? It is a small transgression. The one no one will ever see, no one will ever know. The tiny exaggeration on the expense report. The extra minute you took on your lunch break. The packaging you tossed in the wrong recycle bin because it was closer. In those moments, the question isn't, will I get caught? The question is, will I know? It isn't about avoiding punishment. It's a silent agreement you make with yourself when you choose to do the right thing. To return the wallet. To fix the mistake. To respect the empty space. You aren't impressing the world. You're earning your own respect. That small choice, made entirely in private, is how you build a life you never have to look away from. The only audience that matters is you. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin, and Bershal is right there. And Bershal, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm learning a lot. It is sparking up my entrepreneurship from where I was a few years ago and getting myself back on track after bankruptcy because medical bills are expensive and I didn't want to pay it. But and you're igniting the spark inside of me that is wanting to be back on track and wanting other people to know that's possible. I think when we think of starting our own business, depending on the generation we grew up in, depends on how fearful our mind is of it and how much we're held back. Kevin, do you agree with that?
I do indeed. And a lot of times we sacrifice integrity
Yes.
in order to save the bottom line, or because it's easier. David, that has really wide implications, doesn't it?
Yeah. So there was a bit of the sound didn't come through, Brichelle, so I didn't hear everything you said. But we're
Okay,
talking
as long
about
as you can hear me, I'll just
integrity, right? Situational integrity.
Yes,
Can
I
you?
wanted to
Yes.
tell you. And by the way, Rochelle was saying that you're sparking her entrepreneurial spirit, and talking about these things, but situational integrity. I think that's a bigger deal when you're an entrepreneur, because everybody's looking at you, and they're looking at how you're handling stuff.
I really love your topics. I love this one because um, we've had quite a few key moments in the business over 20 years where it was exactly about situational integrity. So I may not remember exactly events, but I know that when we would have to take a decision on which way we were going to handle a situation, either publish something or communicate something else. I remember I would always tell my team, if this situation were to go before a judge and the facts would be laid out, how comfortable would you be in explaining what happened in the best of your knowledge and how you handle the situation? And sometimes, let's say what something with taxation, I don't know, like it's kind of a gray area. What do we do? Do we put that information out there? We don't. And they'd be like, yeah, I'd be totally comfortable because I checked, I talked to the accountant, and there's nothing wrong. It's just that it's kind of a gray area. I'd be totally comfortable. So that if you were sitting in front of a judge with this situation, how comfortable would you be in handling it? And that works so well for most of my team whenever I would use that example.
Yeah, because you don't want to go to before a judge and not be able to explain the actions that you took or why you took them. Taxation is a really good thing. It's kind of like, so why did you deduct your dog's dog food because you call him a service dog, but he stays at home and you go to work, kind of thing.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. Yeah. So but I believe in integrity. I've always believed, and actually, I'm gonna show my age or my nerdiness. You choose. I studied Latin in high school, and there was a text. I know there was a text that we studied, and basically was a story of this gentleman who had found a ring. And it's not. I'm not a Lord of the Ring fan, so maybe it's a thing with the Lord of the Ring. But when you put the ring on, you'd be invisible, and nobody would know what you did. And it was an old Roman story, and the teacher was so good. It was amazing because at the end, the conclusion was, when you translated the whole thing, is, what are you willing to do when you're invisible to others? And we had this whole debate about integrity and whatnot, and that always stayed with me. So whenever something would happen at the office, and sometimes you have a little shortcut, you could do it this way. Yeah, nobody will know. And I always thought, you know what? Everybody's watching. Everybody knows. At some point, would you be okay that if the ring fell off your finger at that very moment, would you be okay in explaining what's going on? And would you be okay in with your integrity? And that has always followed me, and I share that story from time to time.
Can I share a story with you, David? Because I have a question
I can't
based
hear
on that.
Michelle.
No. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, Kevin, you make up. I'm gonna go out and come back in because I want to share the story about the wallet and then ask him about positive. You'll see where I'm going with it. I'll be right back.
Okay. Rochelle's going to step out because for some reason, sometimes her audio cuts out when we play something like we just played for the integrity. But there are quandaries that we each have in life. Let me give you an example of one that happened to me. I use a delivery service for some medications. and I order them, and they ship them and stuff. Well, they shipped it, and they said, and your medications are delivered. I looked everywhere and they weren't here, so I called them,
Mm.
and they take pictures, and the picture said it was somebody else's house that they delivered it to. And so I thought, oh, well, I told them that, and they refunded it, and then I reordered it, and everything's fine. Well, yesterday, a guy who's a neighbor of mine comes to my door and says, I think they left this in the wrong house last week, and it's been
Mm.
sitting there for a whole week. So the quandary then becomes, okay, they refunded me the money. I paid for it again, but now I've got this separate group of medications that I did not pay for, and that it costs them money. So the question then becomes, do you call them and say, I found them, or that somebody delivered them to me? And let's make sure that Rochelle can. Rochelle, say something, dear.
Can you hear me, David?
I
Okay, fine. Well, I believe that after the next break, it will let me be heard. So I'll just
Okay,
listen.
well, why don't we go ahead and play the next break, because Rochelle and I, and then I'll continue that story with the
Sure.
medication thing, because that's kind of one of those things where nobody will ever know, nobody will find out, and it's then becomes a battle between the three of us, me, myself, and I, to determine
Mm.
which one is going to, which way is going to work best. So anyway, we're going to take a quick break so that Michelle can come in here, because she's got something important to say, and we will be right back right after this. By the way, Michelle's coming to Seattle for a conference, and this is what the conference is about, and I'm so excited that she's going to be here.
If you're a woman running a business and feeling stretched, overwhelmed, or stuck in reaction mode, this isn't a you problem, it's a CEO shift problem. The Women's Success Summit is where women entrepreneurs stop working in their business and start leading it like the CEO. You'll leave with clarity, strategy, and an action plan that you can actually use right now. If you're serious about your business and your growth, this room is for you. Don't miss the Women's Success Summit, April 13th. Connect with a community of powerful women and gain real strategies to grow your business. Seats are limited. Register at p2q.link/summit26.
And let's all get it on. Let's all take a quiet moment and pray that Rochelle can be heard now,
Can
because
you hear me?
And you,
I'm
That
not
would
going to smash my computer, I promise, but that is definitely what my ego feels like doing.
well, can you go out and maybe
I'll
restart
try
and
it
come back
one
real
more
quick?
time and reset my
Oh, no.
audio.
Can you hear her?
I can't hear you, Rochelle. Apologies.
Okay, we're going to try this one more time, Kevin. I swear. I'll be right back.
Okay. He'll be right back. So to finish that with the medication thing, because nobody would ever know except I will know, and that is the only person that really matters that I would know, because nobody else would care, and I'm not even sure that they will accept that when I call it in. But at least you would have the integrity to say I did the best I could. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, there's a good chance you go through the logic of the cost of ship in, ship out, and they're big corporations. They probably have a process that says, oh, if it's XYZ, just keep it. And right, they might make the call that they wouldn't even double charge and tell you to keep it, because I've seen cases like this. But if you make the call for yourself and decide, you know what, I'm not telling anyone, I'll keep it anyways, they don't need it. I feel it's a very, very situational integrity move, I'm gonna call it.
Well, and in this case, because of the company that it is, and I'm not going to name them here, but because of who they are, they're very, very strict about stuff. And if it is delivered by the delivery person to the wrong place, then the delivery person is held accountable.
Wow.
And and
Mm,
that and so that means that not I mean it's like if you're at a grocery store
mm,
and you give them a 10 and they give you change for a 20
mm.
and you don't say anything, and then at the end of the day, Michelle, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
I'm not hearing. Eh,
I'm being targeted. I'm just kidding. Everything is for a reason.
I knew I should have worked on my mind, my lip reading skills.
Yes.
Well, try one more time, Michelle.
Okay. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
But so it's the same thing, and integrity. But when you're an entrepreneur, and integrity is really, really important because everybody in your organization sees you as to whether or not you are a man of integrity or you're not a man of integrity. And so,
Absolutely.
so if it isn't important to you, it's probably not going to be important to them.
Yeah, and that's where the notion of leadership, especially when you have your own business, create your own business, grow it. Everybody's watching how you're handling things, and what you're saying is secondary to how you're acting. So leading by example is such a almost cliche, but when you think of it, if you are as um, strong on integrity as possible, it's going to trickle down, and those that do not have integrity, they're going to stick out like a sore thumb in your business, and that's what you want. You want the vibe to have integrity all around, and you're the first one to show the way.
I have to tell you a quick story if I can, and this has to do with integrity. When I was a bartender years ago, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is an American football team, stayed to come at the hotel. And so one of the guys, the kicker, was very young, or he seemed very young, but he was a Pittsburgh Steeler. I wasn't going to ask him for ID. And so
Mm.
I didn't ask him for ID. Well, the other bartender got offended that I didn't ask him for ID. She went to my boss and they wrote me up for not asking for his ID.
Wow.
Oh, the next week we had flight attendants that came. They were from like Mexicana Airlines or something, and they didn't have ID. And one of them was very, very young looking. And I asked for ID. They didn't have it. So I said, I can't serve you. And then the manager on duty came by and said, you go ahead and serve them on my authority. And so I did. And then I served them, but she wrote that up as the employee was being difficult and wouldn't made me serve them, and so I got in trouble for serving them and for not serving them, and then so I went to my supervisor, and he said the most famous line that I've ever heard come out of a guy's mouth. He said, "Well, there are gray areas." It was like.
The writing up was written in black on white, but there are gray areas, right?
Exactly, and so he was like, because the boss said, why didn't he serve these people from Mexico? And he goes, well, I just wrote him up for serving somebody without ID, and so now you want me to? So it
Well,
was.
Yeah, you see, Kevin, you're exactly proving the point. So I'm going to assume that this wasn't the best a place or employer to work for. I'm going to take a chance in your whole career, and when you have situational integrity and variable, then there are no rules really. If the rules are loosey, then there are no rules.
Yep, and yeah, so that taught me at a very young, because I was very young. I was like 23, 24. That taught me
Mhm.
that that if when I got to a point where I was going to be in charge, that it was going, integrity was going to be a major part of what we did, which included I was in the restaurant business, which integrity to me meant if you are an assistant manager working for me and you're dating the help, that is not integrity. And so
Mm.
you're not going to date the help because that ruins the ability for you to manage effectively everybody at the same point in time. So integrity, some people use it as a, oh yeah, integrity, and so what? I think it's a big deal. What do you think?
No, I think it's it's the foundation of the agreement that we have in a business and quite frankly in society. Obviously, we have a varying degree of definition of integrity, but it's the foundation. We know what we can count on, and if the integrity is so variable, I mean, of course, there are gray areas. There's misunderstanding, and to some extent that's fine. But at the end of the day, if we can't count on a set number of agreements, it's like a social contract. It gets messy very quickly.
And we are going to try one more time.
Can you hear me?
But I'm not here. I'm so sorry, Michelle. I'm not hearing you. Kevin, are you? Can you
Let me
hear
try a different
Michelle?
microphone. Just ignore me for a minute, okay?
I can hear both of you, and so, but
That's the weirdest thing.
that really is. She's going to try a different microphone, see if that works. So, but in any event, let's get back to your book, Built for Freedom. And David, how can people find the book? And I know they can go to davidsalerno.com and they can find the book there. Is it on Amazon and other places as well?
Yes. So you can find it on Amazon, on Kindle as well, or you can buy it online. We have a Shopify platform, so it's available. This is what the book looks like, right? And then you have the mouse wheel, and that's what it looks like. Built for Freedom.
You did, yeah, because we all are running the what do they call that? The mouse wheel?
I think it's a mouse wheel. Yeah, I think it's mouse wheel.
But we all spend a lot of time chasing our tail, even though we don't have a tail. I don't even know where that expression came from. You've been chasing your tail. I don't know, but in any event, and you've written the book. How long has it been out now?
The English version came out last year, a year and a half ago.
Let's see if she's worked magic.
Can you hear me now?
It's
I'm gonna try
that
one more
pin
time, Kevin,
freedom
I
that you
swear.
found. The freedom to I can't hear you, unfortunately. Yeah.
And
The
sometimes
gods of sounds don't want us.
Yeah, the audio gods are not in our favor today.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But that's okay because and I love the fact. Now you've been in business, you've had your company for 20 years, but you told me before in the pre-interview that you have the inkling of getting back into doing something else. Have you identified something that you want to do more or create another business?
That's a great question. And it's funny because it's all around the theme of freedom. So that's why we get along so well, Kevin. Because I started getting involved, and during COVID times, it became this big thing. Obviously, it was planetary and the whole shebang. And I became involved with an organization called the Montreal Economic Institute. So it's a think tank that talks about free markets and.
Can you hear me?
That's the same
Okay,
thing.
it's fine. I'm just gonna stay here.
Why don't we try the phone?
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, because I really want you to ask that question.
Yeah.
I'm dying to know.
Okay.
So
okay.
while Michelle is making the call, so there it's a think tank on free markets in Canada, one of the largest, and they talk about everything freedom, individual rights, free markets, the right property rights, and the ideas in the pursuit of happiness, right? That you have this as the basis of a society, basically.
Well, and freedom is in America it used to be that way, but in Canada it still is. So. By the way, when you go up to Canada for the week, do you have an apartment up there? Because I could stay 3 weeks out of the month in your apartment there, and then I'll go stay in a hotel for a week, and then I get that way. And we don't look anything alike, but I could be a Canadian,
Maybe if
eh?
I do the pinch. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
Kevin, we have a house still there, so maybe let me talk to the wife first. So let me talk to Erica, see what she thinks about that idea.
Well, first of all, I think I don't think they want me up there anyway. Brichelle, you're now back.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Good.
this is amazing.
Good. I'm glad we figured it out for the camera and the audio at the same time. We're going to have you back, David, saying that right now because we need to get a full show with my audio. I just wanted to share with you a little bit. When I was young, I was raised to be very sneaky, and we were kind of talking about this way of integrity, and my subconscious is hearing and learning about this all the time. And I am happy to inform you that I had that moment hit me so intensely with somebody that lives around town here in my apartment building that we don't really get along. And I saw his wallet down in the hallway, and I at first was like, all those nasty things went through my head. You can use your own imagination. And, but then it really made me sick. And I just thought, that is not good karma for me. If I was in that position, no matter how much somebody thought that they disliked me for whatever reason, I would want them to let me know. So I send the message, let them know, hey, pretty sure I just saw your wallet. And yes, I did not pick it up and take it to that person, but I let them know so that they wouldn't go without that. And the reason I bring this up is because I would love to know that if you talk about through what you do helping people and in the book about positive, the way that I was thinking about it was so profound, and now it's left to me. But taking in and absorbing the value of positive reinforcement, positive consequence, not just negative.
Yeah, there's a great lesson in there, and good on you for the wallet to have been available for its owner. But
really
it's a great
good
message, and I think
She
businesses
thought about it for a while.
Very good. But that's it. And kudos to you for being transparent, because it's not easy to talk about these moments where we have these temptations.
My humanness was my ego within my human was pretty strong in that moment.
I love that you use the word ego. It's funny. I had that conversation with one of our VPs now, and I talked to him about the death of the ego. That'll definitely be for another podcast, another episode. But death of the ego is where you absolve yourself from the situation, basically, and what is the right thing to do in that situation, regardless of what I am and what is pulling at me. And that's amazing that you did that. And I think it transposed to business, because if you are not mindful of that, I mean, we'll slip up here and there. Your business is not going to be sustainable. The people are not going to like it. You're going to have a high rotation. You're going to have issues. The tax is going to go after you. The IRS is going to go after you. It's bad karma, like you say. It's a great example.
David, I applaud your management style and how you work. I wholeheartedly believe in it. I have a little team myself, and I try and teach and treat everybody with respect and kindness, and the results that you get from being human that way. Even if I was doing it out of fakeness, which I'm not, because I'm genuinely honored and impressed to be working with them, that they go the extra mile because they value what we are doing. And I know you've created that culture and in your business as well, haven't you?
Yeah, no, it's well said, and quite frankly, I'm an imperfect man. So like I said, I have Sicilian blood flowing my stream. My father was Sicilian, so I have moments of great intense passion. I call it passion. And discussing with my wife, and she's like, "Why are you upset?" I'm like, "I'm passionate." But So that being said, I strongly believe, just an anecdote, something that was very validating is we use a tool called Office Vibe. So it's an application. So any entrepreneur out there has a small team, you basically set it up, very simple, and then it sends automatically emails to your team every couple of weeks, and it's cute. It's got nice icons and this and that, and it over time will build up the engagement score and give you feedback. And I was so happy and proud when we scored like top 5%. So I was like, okay, I'm not just imagining that we're doing the right thing. It truly is showing and that's been 8 years in the making. That thing has been rolling for 8 years now. So you're right, Kevin. If you treat your people well, they're going to be happy and they'll do what they do best and they'll do it well because you're doing it.
And they're proud to say that where they work. There's been lots of times I worked for companies and I wouldn't tell people where I worked because it's like, I don't want to know and stuff. But when people are proud of the product that you're producing and they're vested in it and they want to see the company succeed, not only for their own success, but as you know, when we're talking about employee satisfaction, getting what they get paid is like 6th on the list. Job satisfaction and feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling part of the team, those are way higher. And
Absolutely.
And that's why I love talking to people like you, David, because you get it. And there are people that your turnover goes down, your productivity goes up, your profits go up, and it's all because you're being a fair man. You don't have to be Mr. Knight. You don't have to be, like Mr. Green Jeans or Santa Claus or whatever, but you can be honest and fair and respectful to people, and they will treat you with that same respect 9 times out of 10. Have you found that to be true?
Absolutely. I mean, we live it every day. And when I moved to Florida and started commuting, I would come back and I would see that dynamic. So I would be like the stranger in the room for a while because they hadn't seen me for 3 weeks or 2 months. Sometimes I skip a month. And then I'd see the vibe go around and the way people are able to express when they disagree. Because that's just a lovey-dovey story. It's being able to also express when you disagree, but it's done with such caring and such consideration. And it's just, I was like watching a movie and I'm like, wow, this is the business that we built. And now I'm away and I come back to it and I get to witness it. I'm almost like looking in, right? And it's just a blessing to be able to be in that type of team, basically. So, yep, absolutely, well said.
So, question,
Kevin, I know we're running out of time, but I have one more question.
Please.
Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It almost left me, but don't you realize that in leadership, what you've learned through what you're able to show and give and teach your people, that they're watching how you treat yourself too?
I love that question. You know what? I'm going to say that it's not something that I would be mindful of at all. So think of it. Sometimes I would hear from my team members giving me like advice on slowing down or taking it easy. And I think, well, I think I erred on the side of, well, I'm the captain on board. So, I'm the last one to go down if the ship goes down. So that's very interesting. But you're right. If we lead by being overdoing it, let's say, especially in the first years, there is leading by example also in the way we behave and treat ourselves. That's a great point. I want to think about that one. Next episode, I'll come back with more thinking.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes she comes up with questions I have no earthly idea where they come from, but she does a really good job, and I want to thank you.
They're floating around.
Yeah. David, I want to thank you for being here. And by the way, I got to ask you, when you go there and you're walking to the front door of your company and it's your company, are you Mr. Salerno or are you Dave?
So I'm David. There's no Mr. Salerno, and now I actually have partners. My directors, they're VPs now. So we are co-owners now. So I get to be called David, and there's Mitch and Kev and the rest of the team. So no reserve parking either. I always made the joke, no reserve parking.
That matters. I love how every team somehow has a Kev or a Kevin.
Yeah, that's right.
What a weird
I'm seeing
name
it in 3
that
days.
is. Yeah. That is so bizarre. But and what I tell people when I meet somebody new or they're a new member of the team and they say, Mr. McDonald, I say, no, that's my dad.
I've heard that. Yeah.
My name is Kevin. And so, that's, and take it or leave it. That's what I got and stuff. So David Salerno has been our guest. Rochelle, how do they reach him and get the book? Dang it. It's a great book.
It is amazing. And it's, I think, just a tool to have in life in any way, shape, or form that you can learn from in your own world. So everybody go to either davesalerno.com or you can also go to entrepreneursherpa.co and look at everything he's got for Built for Freedom with the Sherpa Method. And again, thank you so much, David, for spending this time with us and working through these little annoying technology things. I can't wait to have you back. Kevin, thank you for making this conversation even possible. And David, I'd love for you to let us know any other ways we can reach you in your work and maybe a message you'd like to leave us with.
Sure. So basically the book is Built for Freedom, davidsalerno.com. You mentioned it. If you're an entrepreneur who's really aspiring for more, for better, but struggling, overwhelmed, just remember clarity is the first step to freedom.
And dang it, we've got so many questions and we've run out of time. But David, just real quick, I gotta ask you, have you? Oh, dang it, I forgot the question. I do
that.
I know it's. I'll remember it for next time. But David, you're gonna have to come back because
sure, it'll be a pleasure. It was really fun.
We're not done with you yet, young man, because it's important. So again, thank you, David Salerno. Rochelle, thank you so much. Thank you for using technology and figuring it out.
There's always more than one way, people. Keep that in mind and reach out to David. We love you.
Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.